Welcome to another episode of disaster, tragedy, dark forces, heat of night, crime, depravity. Welcome to my life in my little temple of doom in Durban in a tent. No, I'm only kidding. Yeah, but how's it? I wasn't going to do a program today. Yesterday I chatted about this whole issue of divorce and lawyers and the whole thing. And then in the middle of the night I had a frigging epiphany. And I realized how we are doing everything wrong. Why the whole system is crashing. Everything, the way we structure, the way we approach it, everything is wrong. Let's go through the situation, okay? So hubby and wife decide, no, we want to move each other, we want to break up, we had enough of each other, whatever. It doesn't matter if there was another lover, another business, money, someone dies, who cares? They've decided, no, we don't like each other anymore, it's time to move on. So what do? One of them goes to the lawyer because they're going to instigate, the other one's hanging on like, oh man, I must make this work, or whatever. So they go to the lawyer. And the lawyer listens to the story and boom, what? Boom, 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 prepares arms, makes them feel indignant, the whole thing, and don't worry, we'll take it up from you, boom, money goes in. Their lawyer gets hold of you, you shit yourself, or your lawyer gets hold of them and they shit themselves, they get a lawyer coming fighting back, and so the battle begins. And the more the battle gets, the further the two parties are allowed to actually work things out themselves. They're pulled apart. And then, of course, there's the legal system and the whole divorce system. First of all, that name is wrong. Surely we shouldn't be calling it divorce courts. We should call it resolution courts, marriage resolutions or relationship resolution courts, where one of the outcomes could be a divorce. But anyway, that's another subject. But for now, the cycle begins. And the lawyers start acting. We don't talk to each other anymore. The two parties, me and my ex, don't talk to each other. We further, and the lawyers go further. And then, of course, badang, you got like a computer game, you know, paching, you rode over a hot spot, you get a protection order. And the protection order is geared to take you further away from each other. So now, it's the lawyers talking to each other, but now the court is talking, and the lawyers, so the whole system gets joined up. And the two parties that have got to sort their stuff out are removed from the equation. They become an audience. They say, yeah, okay, one to you. And they're no longer. They're consulted. And every time you look at a lawyer, it costs money. So the whole system is orchestrated primarily to end the relationship sourly, even whether it is uncontested, it's bitter, because the fight has been all bitter. And it all starts because we're going to two different team leaders, okay, to turn around and to make us one team. I mean, it's like a school, St. Stithians and St. John's rugby teams turning around that the two coaches are trying to make one team but still two teams, but have the benefits of the, you know what I mean? You can't put it together. You don't put it together like that. So you'll have one coach, one headmaster, one leader that will turn around and look at the players involved, whether it's boxers or whatever, and they'll turn around and they'll put them together, one referee in boxing. And they'll put that person and he'll work out the fight, okay? Okay, so you're not putting gloves on, although sometimes you do. I mean, these things get ugly, don't they? But anyway, so think about this in marriage. And yeah, first thing is, what does this fucking goofball know about marriage? You know, I'm just getting divorced and I've been married for 20 years, okay? So I'm not a lawyer, and I'm looking at the lawyer, and I'm trying to look objectively at this. What the benefits of the system are, and what the pros and the cons are. And the pros, obviously they're pros because there are psychotic idiots out there that are committing crimes which require this kind of draconian response. There are. If this person beats up his wife every single time, but let's talk about that. Talk about violence. If there's serial violence and sadistic violence or whatever of any kind, yes, that person should go down. But if a woman slaps a man, should she go to jail? In that heat of the moment, she didn't come out thinking ruthlessly to hit him. She was frustrated, enraged, angry. He had pissed her off and she slapped him. And now that is a court order. And the same as a man, if he does, if there is some kind of physical or effect, impact. So in other words, hurt the person that they could see it. A medical says, hey, hold it, this is stick around. This is not a slap. This is hitting with a baseball bat. Obviously. And the law, I don't know, obviously there are a million different versions of that have to be covered. And that has to be covered. But the majority of the people getting divorced are not that. I've had a look at some stats. 44 out of every 100,000 people in South Africa get divorced each year. So there's a 50 million, so okay, let's work this out. There are 50 million people in South Africa. Well, there's not, there's about 80, right? But let's say 50 of the people in South Africa, more or less generally. So of the 50 million, let's divide 100,000 into it. So that'll go 50 million, 50,000, and 500. So it's 500. It's 500 times, and then 500 times 44 per 100. And that gives us 2,000. That's 2,000 divorces a year. Okay? 2,000 divorces a year. Work that out each lawyer, say for a divorce. Say a divorce costs each party about 50,000 rand. We know it's more than that, unless you can't afford it, you lose everything anyway. But so at 50,000 rand a time, and there are 2,000, that is 100 million rand that gets transferred from the assets of the divorcee, the divorcing couple, into lawyers' coffers every single year. 100 million rand is taken out of the wealth of common Joe, general public, general mothers and fathers, and goes straight into lawyers, just to separate them. Now let's think how this thing should done. Hypothetical situation, and you're going to say, oh, it doesn't think of it. Think it through. Just think it through. Say a couple went to one lawyer, okay? They decided, I don't know how, well, they go to see three and they choose one. And in that lawyer they choose two different lawyers as well. They can, one is a primary advisor and the other one is an overseer. They go to these lawyers and they give them all of their assets and they give them a statement, right? What they think is going to happen. These two lawyers talk to each other to come up with a solution, not to contest and fight, to work out that they're both on the side of the marriage of what is fair. And the third would be an overseer to come and clean it up a bit, if necessary. I don't know if it's necessary. That would depend on the lawyers and the law firm. Then that is presented back to the couple and explained to them that to do this will cost you 20,000, 30,000 rand combined. If you push against this, you can turn around, push once, and we can tweak and adjust the thing. But if you contest this whole thing, you are then moving into another area where it's going to cost you 10 times that if you are lucky. Which means work out what the value is, multiply it by 10, and that's what it's going to cost you to pay for the services for what it's going to salvage. And is that you're going to salvage as big as you're going to be paying out? Think very carefully about it. And at that stage, there will become resolution if the lawyers and these people that are trying to resolve or seriously want to resolve this whole terrible situation facing married couples in South Africa and the way it's handled and the propagation of hate through a system. Now you've got the one lawyer, they turn around, they work this thing out, they present to the two parties together, not as a if and maybe, it's saying, this is the deal, guys. You three heads have looked at this thing. We worked out, this is fair, this is just, and this will suit your needs with regard to the kids and stuff, and this is a structure. Yeah, we could change this, boom, 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 but that's the deal. They prepare it, they go once to the judge, and the judge ratifies it. That's it. And we put a maintenance court, and we put the child court, and we put divorce, all in the same space. And we call it a marital or marriage resolution, or relationship resolution. Because that's what we should be trying to work out, is how to resolve these issues that are going to hurt a lot of people. And there's two opposing pit bulls fighting with each other and just bleeding out so that they can fight is just not sensible. It's not sensible for them. Yes, it makes a lot of money for the lawyer, but it blocks up the courts, it blocks up time, it costs a fortune, and it's not giving value for money. All the people want to do is separate and do it fair. That's what most people want. Just fair, and let's move on. And if they could position it like that, as opposed to positioning it as how to fight this thing in the Colosseum, I think we could achieve a hell of a lot. Cool, man. Later.